Recently, it feels like teams are constantly losing their own map pick. In this video, we're going to be looking at why is this happening. I found a good example where Fnatic played Foot and Fnatic knew that Split was going to get picked. With this information, Fnatic spent a lot of the time prepping for this map to make sure they had the edge in their opponent's map pick. So we're going to start this one off on the third round. It is the bonus round for Fnatic, and they decide to buy an op into it. So we have an op, low money for Foot. If you win this, it could potentially be worth 2 because maybe they eco. So they have a round that is against the default that Foot like to do. So they do this all the time, and they have a punish for it. This smoke that goes out towards B is meant to create pressure either side. The Fnatic know there's a gap in front of it. They get the op out, and they get the first kill with the op. This is a very solid round, a good bit of anti against just a normal default that Foot like to do. And like we said as well, if they win this round, most likely it will be another eco for Foot, and then you're 4-0 up. So they're just trying to get the best snowball start possible. Fnatic actually lost that round, so we go 2-1, but they did enough damage to make sure that if they win this, they can reset the econ, and these 3 can't buy. We see a nice default from Foot. They break the trip with the satchel over towards middle. We have a smoke here as well that blocks vision, and a dog to secure that no one has vision. So double question mark created over towards middle. But this camera here sees either side of the smoke and either side of the wall. So this wall smoke default again that we see from Foot just isn't able to actually create the pressure that Foot thinks it creates. Just another sick round of just a great example of Fnatic looking at the default that Foot like to run and just having an exploit for it with the camera that sees over the top so they don't have to worry about the pressure B. A lot of this was just down to the hero play of Durka, but still the overall macro of how they wanted to approach the wall was just really cool. And obviously this clip that hopefully we see in the replay here, yeah, it was just a little bit nuts. They shot the clone, all get flashed, and then Durka just does old school Durka things, what we used to expect from him. After this round, Foot had to eco, Fnatic won the eco, and now we're on the big buy round. Foot again on the verge of having to eco. So Fnatic decide to go a little bit aggro. This is a set play strat that they stole from K-Corp that they used at Masters Madrid. They used it in kickoff as well. And it's just an instant Yoru ult. They spot one, they can then stun off the back of it, they can omen flash off the back of it. Isolated player, he clears the corner, they realize it's just one, and Mr. Fallon has absolutely no chance. So I'm showing you this because first of all, it's a lovely play, but second of all, they actually had a play off of this a little bit later on that you'll see in a little bit. But actually win the 4v5 and the round after. We see Fnatic try and punish the default again with the Viper wall over towards B by getting the op out towards A heaven. They normally omen smoke, it blocks vision of A, but A heaven is clear. But change their smoke and wall over towards A, so they're just a little bit of a step ahead, but it was also nice to see Fnatic have that extra layer of trying to op over towards A to punish their default. We see the same camera that normally spots over the wall in the smoke, but this time as well, the thing that I really wanted to highlight is the fact that Fnatic are loving this trip at middle. We've seen it broken, but they're just trying to condition Foot to take mid default the whole time. Right, twice in a row that we've had this trip over towards middle, and they're trying to make sure that that Cracks has to default over towards middle to use his satchel to break this. So they're making sure they hold on towards middle, aggro, and that they can have the numbers to enable this over towards B. They didn't create enough pressure over towards middle because of the trip. They didn't actually take space, and the people on B maybe sped up a bit too fast, thinking that no one would be over towards B. So I just thought this was a good example of, first of all, the op being over towards A heaven, and also the fact that they're conditioning them to go mid default and actually create the question mark so they can kind of heavier hold the sides until Foot prove that they can take middle. Once they felt that they conditioned them to go over towards middle to break the trip, they then round before this played heavy over towards middle, and this round as well just to try and punish people actually going forward to break this trip that they know is going to be up. So love this from Fnatic. They know that they're probably going to have to go explore to break the trip, and then they're trying to punish it with numbers, and there's actually no trip here. So good example this round and the round before of expecting the change up from Foot, knowing that the coach after a timeout is going to talk about the fact that they gotta break and gotta create this question mark over towards middle so the heavy stacks aren't on the sides. Now we're on the last round of the half, and we can see that Durka has his ult, and the prior ult that we saw was him going over towards A and isolating one. This is a second layer from Fnatic. They make it look like the same strat, and they three-person walk down towards middle. Breach was ready to stun in case Durka saw anyone, and then basically they're trying to exploit the fact that Foot, once they hear the ult, are going to try group up towards middle, into a waiting breach stun, into an omen flash, and numbers over towards middle. So I just thought the second layer of this original ult round that they had was really cool to try and play into the fact of how Foot would react to what they believe is the same ult round. So we have seen Fnatic take 2024 K-Corp strat from the Yoru. How about a Cypher strat from 2023? So K-Corp used to do this default all the time where they would take B main and they would use this one-way trip over towards B. Super, super strong. It just means that people can't retake over towards B. So with the Cypher, they take on B control, trip is there, and now we have this camera towards middle. So one camera to help them take mid control. He picks it back up. We got a 15-second wait on this one. And I just wanted to show this round because Fnatic are a team that relies on information. They're always this info and then we call this strat. And a lot of the times their comps don't give them too much info, but we're using Cypher like an initiator right now. We've taken info towards B, camera towards bottom middle, for info middle. We then see a camera towards vents, so they clear vents, and then we'll go forward 10 seconds. What do? We take A heaven control, another camera to spot info here, and I just thought it was just one of the better uses I've seen. I've spoken a bit on stream about the fact that maybe a double info sentinel comp with like Cypher and Killjoy could be doable, and when I'm seeing Cypher used like this, I really think that it could be a thing. Loved this one. Chronicle back on the initiator kind of, and probably just the best use of a camera, just making sure on the eco they can avoid the stack by using the Cypher camera as an initiator. We get another round where we see this trip over towards B, and this is just a good example of how strong this trip is. Normally when you take over towards middle, team's reactions is to take B, and if you get that info, you can kind of just plan accordingly, whether you want to speed up heaven or you want to speed up over towards A. In this example, we're going to see Foot take over towards B main. They break the trip. As you can see, pretty hard to deal with. And then with that info going down, we're going to see Fnatic take towards middle, and they're going to take male control. So once they take a male control, we again see a camera that spots over towards B, using the Cypher once again like an initiator, and they know that B main has been taken, especially as there was a Skydog during all of that over towards B as well. And this is just a great round from them against an eco, something that they've been struggling before in the past. Just making sure that they have the info for these rounds. They know that Foot like to reactively push over towards B main, and this was just a lovely split. They take map control with the info on B reactively. They then know that they need to use util to clear B, and it just becomes a clean round, and especially with the Cypher util, once again, just getting a lot of information. We spoke about conditioning a little bit on the first half, and this is just conditioning again on attack. Taking B main control, putting the trip down, and kind of showing Foot that they can't retake B reactively, or at least take map control from them taking other places of the map. We see the trip down again, and Fnatic on this one, a team that relies very heavy on getting info. We take B main once the trip hasn't been broken, and then they create this plan for middle. This is again a team that relies heavy on info. We have no initiator. Well, we have an initiator, but we have no info initiator. The Yoru ult is used as the info. On the top of that, they can omen flash, they can stun, and they can get into sight. So it's just another good example of, instead of the camera being used for the initiator info, it is Durka's ult being used. And they're just so on top of the fact that if they can have B main, they can obviously have a good area to use all of this util, whether it's the omen flash, whether it's the breach stun, to make sure that if anyone's on B site, they're just going to get overwhelmed. So another good example of them holding over towards B main with these ults, with the info, is just an easy win. So potentially the last round, and this was just so funny to me. So Foot have run out of ideas. They want to be able to take over towards B main, so they decide to do this aggro at the beginning. They go into B, Chronicle disrespects the one-way, puts his trip down, and the trip that has been wrecking Foot the whole time gets the first kill in the round as well with the 5 bit of damage. So yeah, I just thought this was so funny, pretty poetic, because this is the trip that had been wrecking them, and I felt like this whole map was just a really good example of a good game plan on attack, realizing if they take B main, they mess up the reactions of foot, and then they can also just exec into the site pretty well, and it creates a lot of damage, especially before. Prior, Fnatic have been execing a lot into B. And then on defense, just a good amount of rounds to punish the default of how foot like to play on attack. So yeah, one of the better examples I found of a team being able to win the enemy's map pick just by playing off tendencies and how they like to play. If you like this kind of content, let me know. I was happy to actually do something that kind of highlighted maybe the impact that Bolster has, as a lot of people are talking about his frags at the moment. So yeah, I just wanted to, it was a nice example, this one, to be honest, of just how much work can be put in, and yeah, just highlight some stuff that an IGL or a coach would be doing as well. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of stuff, because I know that Bolster and IGLs get a hard time, so maybe we can kind of highlight some of their better stuff that they're doing, so people don't just look at the stats and make a assumption off of that. Thank you so much for all of the subs and all of the comments, and I will see you in the next video. All right, peace.